I was 5 years old when I realized something wasn't right in our home. I watched as my dad got into a physical fight with my 17-year-old brother, which then forced him to run away from home. From this moment on, things really changed for me. I became the peacemaker in my family. I was the one who helped everyone, and I was the one who stood between them and my dad whenever I could tell he was about to explode. Yelling was the theme in our home. My dad, he was just so angry and so easy to set off. We felt like we were always walking on eggshells. It took me a very long time to admit to myself that this was a verbally and physically abusive situation. It just wasn't something we ever talked about in our home. We swept the truth under the rug to keep face, and I learned young that if everyone saw you laughing and smiling all the time, they wouldn't see the mess, and they definitely wouldn't ask questions. This translated easily to my relationship with God. I held him at a distance, yet I felt this need to be near him and to know more about him. But I was also so afraid to be known. I can look back now and see how God was pursuing me in all of that darkness. My family felt like such a mess, which made my life feel like a mess. But then there's Jesus who died on the cross for my sins. He loves me, and he was, and he still is pursuing me. As I continued on from high school, I still struggled. I made poor decisions, and I even found myself blaming God for the way my life was turning out. But there was this thread of nearness that I couldn't ignore. God was so near, and he was calling me to live a life surrendered to him. And by his grace, I did. Joy was something I never thought I would have. But the more I seek Jesus, the more I realize what it means to have that fullness of joy I used to hear so much about. And through the lens of Jesus, I'm able to finally look at my family and my past and see a dad who struggled so desperately with his own past and hurt. I also see siblings who took on the weight of their parents' sinfulness, and ultimately an imperfect family in serious need of Jesus. Please know, this does not excuse the things that were said or done, but I can see how God can use the brokenness in our family to bring him glory. Things were not perfect, and they still aren't. I still feel the effects of our brokenness, but I'm also reminded that God used all the life that we experienced to draw us to him. And for that, I am so thankful. God is in the details. He is active. And like Psalm 91 says, God is our strength, he is our refuge, our shelter, and our rescuer. God is so faithful through it all, and I know I can trust him.